All right, let's talk about creating coated materials with Corona. So this is something which I'm kind of excited about, and I want to cover a couple of things here, which I think are important and which can make renders better and more realistic. So we're just going to jump straight in. I'm already got this interactive rendering. I've already got the scene set up. This is my material editor here. Just quickly, this is the way we used to do coated materials, and we do it less this way now and more just using the material, because with the last update of the materials you have this right in there. So let's just take this, and actually let's just check that we're not, let's turn that off. Basically these circles are all instances with different materials, so I don't want to have the material going to all of them. Well, not circles, you know, spheres. So if I put this material on here, you see that you have this reflection coming through. And what you want to do is you want to have this reflection coming through, but you also want to have the shininess you get from a coated material. So like this. So this has got the shininess coming through, and it's got the dullness. Because basically, like, let's take a French lacquer or something like that. What you have in these cases is you have the wood itself having its own reflection, and then you also have the reflection of the lacquer. So you need to have two reflections. You need to be able to see both reflections in the material. So the way we used to do it was simply like this. You had a layered material, I would plug a chrome in, and then I would take a fall off, general fall off here. I would plug this into the mask, and you can see immediately what it does. It's put this in certain areas, not in the middle. And the reason for this is simply that, let's just make this a bit smaller so we can fit it all in here. Is simply that it's got this curve on here. Okay, so we can go to output. We can do enable color map. So it's got this one now. We can come like this, and my idea normally was to generally just get this to about how much I want it, like how much do I think the lacquer is going to reflect. So something like this. And then I will add in some points in it, actually 1 point, not some points. And the edge is always more reflective. So, you know, you can get it like this. So this is just way too much. You know, it's like glass or metal on the edge or something. So normally, for me anyway, I would put it about here, and then put a Bezier smooth on there so it's nice and integrated. Well, nicely smooth, you know, it's not, there's no sharp points. So this is how I would do it. And this is how layered materials were done. Now, nowadays, you don't have to do that, because like I said, Corona now, you take this, if it's gonna let me, there we go. You can put it on, and nowadays in this material, you have clear coat layer. So that's what this does. It just puts that clear coat on. And I've got glossiness set at 0.95. I can push that up to 1 if I want, or play around with it and reduce it a bit further. I can put my own bump map. If the wood has a certain bump and I think the clear coat has a bump, maybe I put a scratch map in there for the bump. If I want this to go more reflective, in the past, if I wanted to go more reflective in the past, I would have taken this, right, and push these points up. Nowadays, I can just come in here and play with the IOR here, and I can set this up to 3 or go however insane I want it to go. Actually, I can't go how insane, it stops at 3, because if I want it to be different, I should change this to metal. So anyway, this 2 is probably too high, but I just put it at that height just so you could see the effect of both blended together. Because if I come down to a more realistic amount of 1.33 or 1.6, there's hardly any blurring here, right? I can also, because this glossiness is based on this map, I don't know if it's completely based on it. Yeah, 100%. So if I want to, I can come in here and I've got this color correction. So I've just got this plugged into the color correction and I can push this up. The problem is the higher I push this up, the more it's going to go towards white and the more details are going to get lost. You know, open preview window. I think let's whack this up. You see what I mean? Like, it's very hard to see any of the details. You can see some, but it's hard to see them. So sometimes I prefer to keep those details and instead make this percentage less. But it's just whatever, however you want to work on it, you know. This is just the way I do it. So I'll bring this down. Oh, sorry, not that one. That's the color. Bring this one down. So then it's got 50% the map and 50% of one, which isn't one, but you know, 50% of that. So that's one way of doing it. But like I say, with this IOR, like, you know, I want it to be blurry, so I'm gonna probably have this at 100, and that's blurry. I like that amount of blur, but it's not enough. So I push this up to a slightly unreal amount, just so I can more closely see what I want to show here, you know. And this clear coat layer, where is it here? Push that up again. So now you've got the glariness of the wood and also the clear coat on top of it. So those are the two ways. And I think it's important to realize that by using this clear coat layer, like, I love it, but the IOR curve, because it is a curve, right? It's something, you know, it's not this fall off I've put in here, but it is a curve that goes in. I mean, as soon as you select IOR and you say how much, it puts in a hidden curve that you can't see. So realize that the curve it's going to put in is going to be the same for every single material, and every single material doesn't have the same curve. So it looks, pardon me, so it looks great, but it's not completely accurate because different objects are going to have different curves. But to program in each different object and the exact curve for each different one because they're behaving differently is, well, that's a time-consuming process, right? So I would do it exactly the way they've done it here. I think it's a really good solution, and I use this all the time. And nowadays, I very rarely find any use for this old method. So yeah, it's simply just this, and I can very quickly just type in clear coat and go along, and I don't have to mess with curves. I don't have to mess with anything. All right, so let's talk about metal. And we're going to have a little bit of fun on this one. What have I got? Where's the metal? Here's the metal. Okay. So again here, imagine you have something like steel or an old metal, and someone comes along with a metal polish and polishes the hell out of the thing. So that's good, but you need to be able to accurately show that. You know, you're going to have this particularly with things like brushed metals. And brushed metals are going to often have a coat, not always, but they often have a coat on top. So here we have this coated material, and as before, it's this one in there with the coating. Without it, it's like this, and with it, you get sharper windows coming through here. So that's the way we used to do it, and as we've said before, now we can delete these, although the fall off is probably a bit off, but it still looks great. So if you want to get your IORs correct, you can Google index IOR, something like this, Index, yep, I can spell. Index, I-C-O-I, yep, whatever that is. No one knows. I-O-R, index. Here we go. Pixel and Poly have decided to put one up because everyone else is going somewhere else. So why not try and get some of the work there? Was it this one? I don't remember anymore. Jesus, it's been so long since I've been there. Yeah, it was this, refractive index info. Okay, so this is like the god of it. But the thing to realize is you get to choose a book. So, I mean, this isn't a book, this is an item. And this is a page. But main. Okay, so I don't know. Let's take something like gold. There you go. Where is it? Here we go. And here we go. This is what's interesting. These guys are like, what's the refractive index of gold? You know? And this person says, well, this is the refractive index. And this is Johnson and Christie in 1972. If you come to Magnozzi, I haven't even seen this, 2019, he says it's more like this, which is pretty similar. If you go to someone else like Olmar in 2012, this one changes quite a lot. This, I'm not sure. But you can see that scientists and they're coming up with different refractive index details. So you have to kind of take it all with a bit of a pinch of salt, or you decide which one you like the most and that's what you're going to go with. But they're all looking at gold in different times using different tests, and they're coming up with slightly different results. Anyway, so the important point is simply that there are different results from the same scientists. Not the same scientists. There's different results from different scientists on doing these. So they can't agree on a set exact way that it should be. So how somebody writing a render engine is supposed to decide exactly how the index of refraction should be when scientists keep coming up with different ideas is, you know, it's questionable. It's not really going to happen, right? And you can do it in a scientific way, but which scientist are you going to copy? So anyway, for now, we have this material. 0.7, and then here okay, this is just because the tail I've set so high. So where are you, tail? 0. So now it looks back, gone back to just the blurry metal. 0.1, 0.2. So the thing is here, you can't see anything. You can't see shit, and the reason is because the object itself is so blurry. If I put anisotropion 0.2, if I put an angle rotation of like 30%, I was really hoping I'd be able to show this easily. I need a lot more things in the room that it can reflect, and not just an HDRI. And not just the things next to it. Because if they're not white, like, it's not going to reflect them properly. So, you know, it's not going to... So now all I'm going to say is, play with base tail. I've made a video and I haven't showed you what you can do with it. If I put that all the way up to 1, you only get something if this glossiness is all the way at 1. As soon as it comes down, it changes massively. And that's because it's an absolute, and absolutes are not really obtainable. So you said it's 100, it's like, I'm perfect. You said it to 0.99, it's like, you've taken away 300% of my perfection. Let's put this back to 0. I mean, it is interesting, right? See, this isn't perfectly white, and that's the problem. But if I put this up to 0.5, 0.8, 0.99, you get this, and this is all from the tail. So this is just the fall off of the tail, the shape of the tail in the reflection as it goes, as it leaves. If you check here, when you add in the base tail parameter, it means reflections take on a softer or more distributed look with higher tail values. It is similar to raising the roughness, so we've seen that, right? Or reducing glossiness. But the result is very different. It gives a softer look, it gives more depth to the material. It's especially useful for metals, but can be used for all material types. So it keeps the highlights blurry and more details here. So rather than having a uniform blurriness, it gives you some blurriness and some precision. So, you know, here you've got this tail going up and it's increasing the blurriness kind of thing, but it keeps the highlights. It makes the highlights blurry, but the dull areas, the darker areas are going to more closely reflect what's around them. See, this hasn't changed so much inside here. So that's an interesting tool, and it gives metals a better depth and a better understanding. You could try putting it on all of your metals. I would just put it on those ones that I want to look slightly better than the others, I guess. You know, just highlight it, just items which are like hero items. But in general, I wouldn't do it. Base tail 0.3. Higher you get, 0.8, 0.9, 0.95. So this is all without even having on the clear coat layer. So now if we want to turn on the clear coat layer, actually let's put this to 0. Let's just check what we have up here. Yeah. So hang on a second, just checking this. There's nothing. The map wasn't being used at all, so I'm going to make it so the map does get used a bit. Let's try 90%. Let's try 10%. Let's try 1%. Let's try 0. Because we're dealing with all these things so close to 100, it's making a massive difference if I do anything. I think even if I put this down to 0.95, it's going to go blurry. Yeah. So the reason for this is simply, like I said, things are so extreme, or I've set things so extreme. So let's take let's go back to where we were. Glossiness 0.5. 1. I think we're going to turn on base tail can go to 0. We can turn this on. Set this up at 100%. Okay, so this is what we have for the reflections and so on. And that looks kind of cool. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put on some tail. So base tail, let's try 0.2. It's coming through already, 0.4. Okay, that might even be a bit much, or the glossiness might be a bit much. I can set this down to like 70%, 70% the map. And if I come up here, I can go straight into the glossiness. Okay, that's set at 1. So that's kind of cool. That's a very rough metal. And then what I can do is I can take the clear coat and put this up at 1. I'm not going to go any higher than, yeah, I mean, you can't go any higher than that. I could set this up at 3. And then you can see the reflection coming through as well in the clear coat. Probably 3 is a bit high. 2 might even be too high. But maybe that shows what you want, which is the clear coat. I mean, I love this. You've got a clear coat and you've got glossiness. And you've got a tail in there. If I turn this off, it's like that. And yes, I can make this 0.6, 0.5, I don't know, something like this. And it's going to be similar, but it's not going to be as good. Put that back there. Put this back to where it was. Clear coat layer 2. Alright, so that gives us that. I think it looks great. I love it. And that's the simple way of doing that. And here it's just the lacquer like on a painted surface that's then been polished on top. And for this, I made sure this is on non-metal. I mean, it's so good now where you can just go, okay, Corona Phoenix material, just put it in there and just turn on metal. Roughness is set at 0.75, so I can either turn this down to 0 or I can change it to glossiness. So 0.2, you know. So it's so good that you can just get metals so easily. And also there's also presets, gold brushed. You know, I mean, it's nice. It's not really completely accurate with the gold brush. There's no, you're not going to actually see the brushing markings on there. So iron edge color. So that's nice. Cast iron. I mean, it's just fantastic, right? That you can just come in here and so easily do this now. But let's go back to where we were. And where we were is like a lacquer painted surface. And the actual surface is like this. And all we've done is plug this map into the base glossiness, which is again concrete, and use color correction to get it in there so it's how I like it, how I want it to be. And then this is a chrome, and we have a fall off. Put that on there, and we have this. Delete all of this. Assign this material to it. Take this and wait. And then take a clear coat layer, put this on, and you have very similar to what we had before. This one's just easier and quicker to make changes with. If you want to, again, you can come in for the base tail and set this at maybe 0.2. Or if I go 1, it's going to go 0.8. Let's turn off the clear coat so we can see what's happening. It's just making it more and more blurry here. So, however, even though it's making it more blurry, it's not the same as just making this glossiness more. So it's 50% glossiness. If I take this to 100, the highlights are going to be less blurred than the lowlights here. So even though you can't see it, that is what's happening. Or you can't see it well, right? I'm just trying to think of it. There's a better way of showing it, and I can't think of one right now. I mean, 1 is going to completely blur it out. It's like completely blurry. 0.9, 0.5, 0.3, 0. So you have to kind of decide what you want. On things which are kind of like dull, it might not be the best idea to have this. I'm going to try something stupid. Okay, let's turn it off. Let's just try this layered material. I know I just deleted this, but still. Put that in, assign a material, get another material, put that in. It takes so long when it's loading everything. Just because it's rendering, you know, otherwise it's quick. Take this, apply the preset of Chrome, take a fall off, plug this in to mask 1, adjust this, adjust it here. Okay. Now we're going to take this and we're just going to assign the chrome directly to the material. And what we want to do here is take this and adjust the tail in this one. I don't know how much I like this, but you can see what's happening, right? It's becoming very blurry on the edge and it's not becoming blurry here. It's just been overdone, that's all. 0.9, 0.8, 0.9. So you can see the highlights are coming through, the rest of it's getting blurry. They should have this tail also for the clear coat layer, because if you don't have it in the clear coat layer and you just have it on the main one, you can't get these nice effects. Like I can get this nice effect now by doing a layered material, and it wasn't my intention. I can get this nice effect now by doing a layered material, and it was never my intention to do this. My intention of this tutorial was just to say, you know what, don't use this anymore. Just go in here and, I mean, let's just duplicate this, right? I'm just duplicating it just so I can put the tail on here. Let's assign it. Let's put on the clear coat. Let's put on a, where's the tail here? Tail, what did I say in this one? I think I've set it quite high, right? 0.9, yeah. This I probably can't set so high. 0.5? 1? 0.9? 0.1? So if I want to see it, it's only on the undercoat, right? It's not on the top coat. So like here, if I turn it off completely, I can't really see much. So this is the one. History, let's store it. And the other one. I mean, store it, A and B. You can see the difference. If I want to reduce this, let's take that off. I'm not sure which one I need to go into. Let's try this first. Let's reduce this down to 0.7. Okay. So here we have it at 0.7. And if I also store it, it's this one, right? Yeah. And that was the one before. And this is the one without. Oh my God. So I've shown that you should definitely be using. What I've shown you here is to use the base tail, because you get some awesome highlights coming through. So we get the awesome highlights being, blurred, and the dark areas not being blurred and being sharp. So that's what we're getting. And when we bring up this, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the blur here around the highlights, and the non-highlighted areas not blurred. So if you're making a coated material, then make it like this until they add in a tail for the clear coat, because the tail is awesome. But if you're in a rush, and we often are in a rush, then just do it the way. If you're in a rush, and we're often in a rush, and if the material isn't a hero material, like, look, this looks amazing, right? And it's so much faster to make. Even though I've proven exactly what I didn't intend to prove, because this looks good, 9, 10 times, 9, I don't know, 9, I was going to say 10 times out of 10, but it isn't, is it? 99 times out of 100 or something like that. This one here is perfectly fine. And this one here takes half the time or less than this takes to set up. So if you're in a rush, just do this. Just take a material, assign it, get the color, get everything set up that you want to get set up. I saw that IOR. Set this reflection where you want it to be. Oh, that's roughness. Set the reflection where you want it to be, 0.2 or whatever. Set this at where this needs to be. Come along, turn on the clear coat. If you need to mess with this, that's it. Like, it's just crazy. Roughness, 0.1. This roughness here, 0.4. Like, this is awesome. This is awesome. If you have a map, chuck a map in, put it into base glossiness, base roughness in this case. I can just turn off the clear coat layer quickly, see what I've done. Okay, change the advanced options from roughness to glossiness so it flips it around. If I want to get this more reflective, reduce this down to about 70. Come up here, take this glossiness up to 1. Okay, that looks amazing. Come back in, put back on the clear coat layer. Boom. Fantastic. Like, that is insane. That is insanely good. If you take this one, assign this, and it's just better. So if you have the time, do it like this. If you're in a rush, do it. If you're in a rush, then do it the way we discussed. Like, just make it fast, because it looks amazing, it looks good, and no one's going to have a problem with that. I want to kind of mess around with this now, but I'm just going to hold off. We've messed around with these enough, and I think I've shown you what I needed to show you. And yeah, tutorials taught me something about this as well, so thank you very much. And I hope you get something out of it. All right, cheers, bye.